Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Sci-Fi Corner. I'm your host, Sean Patrick Erschen, and this week we are looking at the second entry of the J.J. Abrams rebooted Star Trek franchise, and that is Star Trek Into Darkness. My name is Khan. That's right, starring Zachary Quinto, Chris Pine, Simon Pegg, Benedict Cumberbatch, and Karl Urban as our beloved characters from the original series, and that is Spock, Kirk, Scotty, Uhura, Chekhov, Sulu. They're all here. Same cast as the 2009 reboot film directed by J.J. Abrams. J.J. Abrams directs this one as well. And upon release in 2013, it came out along with the Fast and the Furious entry there. I think it was part 6. And I think that kind of took away from their profit a little bit. But it still did well. And the film did receive good critical reception. And however, the fans seem to be divided on this entry into darkness. And I'll tell you what I believe my personal opinion is, that the fans, when the film was being produced and when they were promoting it, they billed it as, the second entry of the reboot franchise, and it was not supposed to be a remake of The Wrath of Khan, and it was not supposed to have Khan as the main villain. And that's really not the case, because it is a remake of Wrath of Khan, and Khan is the main villain of the film. You could argue that Peter Weller as Admiral Marcus is the main villain, but really not. Ultimately, it's Khan. And yes, this is a loose kind of remake of the Wrath of Khan. Definitely, there are several elements that they take from the Wrath of Khan. But if you take it for that, if you take it as a remake of the Wrath of Khan, it's a very good one. And it's got great action, it's got great performances. Benedict Cumberbatch as Khan does an excellent job, and he's extremely charismatic. And he just gives a great performance as Khan, and I buy into it. I'm sorry. I enjoy the film. I think it's got great action, and I love the cast once again. I love this bright young cast. They play these characters well, and they play a great tribute to the original series, as does J.J. Abrams at the director's chair. So Star Trek Into Darkness begins on this planet where this kind of tribe of people that are kind of very primitive, and they're chasing down Captain Kirk and Dr. McCoy through the woods and through these fields, and there's like a monster chasing them. And apparently he stole their plans or something, just to throw them off track, and threw the plans away. And they jump off a cliff into the ocean, and you find out that when they swimming underneath the ocean, that in the ocean is the actual Starship Enterprise, and you see the Starship Enterprise arise from the ocean, and it's so huge, and it looks insane. Awesome special effects. I love that scene. But the problem is that the tribe saw the starship coming out of the and as Captain Christopher Pike points out to Captain Kirk, and the civilization that barely invented the wheel just saw a starship rise from the ocean. And he gives Captain Kirk quite a shellacking about it. And in turn, I guess he violated Starfleet Academy rules. And for that, he gets the Enterprise taken away from him. He gets devoted to first officer. He's not the captain anymore. But he still serves under Christopher Pike. Christopher Pike now takes over the Enterprise. And what happens is the reason that he got told on by Spock, because Spock has to be so honest. He doesn't know how to lie, or he doesn't know how to just, skip information. He reported that to Captain Pike, and Kirk finds that out, and he's like, "You just threw me under the bus, dude. What are you doing?" Now I just lost command of the ship, and now you've been transferred to a different ship. Look what you did. Because you had to tell the truth. And, sometimes you don't always have to give all that information. But, Kirk is resentful for Spock for that. But they work it out, and what happens is, so Kirk serves as Captain Pike's first officer, and Spock is transferred to another ship, and what happens is they have a big meeting at Starfleet. All the head honchos have a big meeting to discuss this fugitive named John Harrison, who is a Starfleet officer gone rogue, and he's killing a lot of people, and they decide on a mission to take down this fugitive John Harrison, and then we see this ship come to where they're having the meeting at Starfleet, and the ship shoots out all the glass and shoots everyone in the office, in the conference room, and plugs down, kills a whole bunch of people, and but Captain Kirk manages to fight him off. He smashes the glass and gets this giant hose and throws it, wraps it around the ship, and the ship gets taken down. And John Harrison beams out of it just in time, of course, but not before we find out that he killed Captain Christopher Pike. So as he's dying, Christopher Pike, Spock does a mind meld with him and sees what he's seeing, so he kind of starts to understand about death a little more, which is very interesting. And he is very saddened by it, and Captain Kirk is, of course, very saddened by it, because Christopher Pike is one of his mentors, and he helped him get into Starfleet. So it was a very sad moment. But after that, Captain Kirk gets his command back. So it worked out in a good way in his favor, and he decides he stands up for Spock and wants Spock to come back and be his science officer once again. So it all works out. So what happens is they now plan to get revenge against John Harrison. They want to take him down. So they try and track John Harrison down. And it turns out he's hiding in the Klingon planet. So they go into the Klingon planet region where they're not supposed to be. So they get into it with the Klingons because they have a peace treaty, but they see it as a violation. You're not supposed to come here. So they get into a big war, and then they find John Harrison, and John Harrison's just blasting all the Klingons, blasting everybody. But he just decides to give up. So they take John Harrison prisoner, and they hold him in this cell, which I guess is completely bulletproof and impenetrable. And you get some scenes almost like Silence of the Lambs, or even the Avengers, how they held him prisoner in that plastic thing. And he gets to have a real shining moment, a real great back and forth rapport with Kirk and Spock and Dr. McCoy. And he tells them the story that he's actually 300 years old, and that his name is not John Harrison. His name is Khan, a tyrant from 300 years ago who ruled a country, was an emperor back in the day. And he's a genetic Superman, extremely super strong, super smart, and an absolute fierce warrior. And what happens is we find out that, you almost feel sad for him in a way, because his whole race of people, who was only about 75 left of them, they're hidden in these torpedoes. torpedoes that were going to actually be fired on the Klingons as per plan of Admiral Marcus, played by Peter Weller in the film. So we find out that, Admiral Marcus is doing some pretty shady stuff. He's planning on killing all these warriors that are under the command of Khan. So we almost feel a little bit of sympathy for Khan because he was protecting his people. But when you look at all the people he killed in the process, he's not such a good guy. So that's the problem, is all the people he murdered, and he murdered many Starfleet officers, he murdered many Klingons, so many people he murdered in the cause for his race, to save his race. So he has that line, "Is there anything you would not do for your family?" And he's tearing up. It's an emotional, powerful moment, and I love it. So they decide that really the main problem is Admiral Marcus. So they actually enlist, the Starfleet actually enlists the help of Khan, because he's such a fierce warrior, and he's like basically almost indestructible. He's such a powerful warrior and extremely intelligent. He knows everything about Starfleet and everything about how all the controls work and how the starships work. And Admiral Marcus has this brand new ship, which is like 3 times the size of the Starship Enterprise. And when he finds out that Khan is being held in the Enterprise, he really loses it, and he goes off on Captain Kirk. And he says, "Release the prisoner Khan to me now." When they don't listen, Admiral Marcus threatens to destroy the Starship Enterprise and destroy their crew along with Khan. When they refuse to give Khan up to Admiral Marcus. So they have a huge battle, and what happens is Khan works with Captain Kirk and Scotty. Scotty ends up beaming onto Admiral Marcus's ship and so the plan is to try to destroy the starship within Admiral Marcus's starship. They want to destroy it from within and take Admiral Marcus down, and that's exactly what they do. That's exactly how the plan works and unfolds, and that's basic premise of Star Trek Into Darkness. So I really enjoy the film. I enjoy the performances. I think the action is absolutely top-notch. The special effects are top-notch. It's a great sequel, even though it's basically a remake of The Wrath of Khan. I didn't mind it. I really enjoy the film. I watch it all the time. I watch the original 2009 reboot, and I watch Into Darkness probably even more. I think it's even more entertaining than the 2009 version. But that's my opinion, But hey, folks, are you excited about Star Trek Beyond coming out this weekend? I cannot wait to see the 3rd entry. It's got all kinds of great reviews so far. So go see Star Trek Beyond in theaters, and go check out Star Trek Into Darkness. Buy it on Blu-ray, DVD. Just run and buy it. And thank you for joining me, Sean Patrick Erschen, in the Sci-Fi Corner. Tune in and blast off.